This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Matt Allen decided to take the weekend off, so today I am your KTAR car guy. Bumper to Bumper Radio is heard every Saturday from 11 to noon, and it's our job here to help you, the motoring public, have a better overall car experience. So if you've got car questions, I've got car answers, and it's actually we have car answers. I have John Riggle, who's the lead technician at Tri-City Transmission. He's in here today. He's ASC Master Certified, and he's been fixing cars for 38 years. He started fixing cars the year I was born.
Yeah, that's funny.
And we work together every day, but, boy, he's been at it a lot longer than me. So we encourage you to give us a call. Maybe you've got a noise that's going on. Maybe you've got something weird that happens with your car, and you're like, I don't know if I want to take that into the shop because I don't really know what it is, and I wouldn't know what to ask for. Maybe you got something like that going on. There's a lot of that happens. So give us a call at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us at 411-923. And today on the Bumper to Bumper Road Map, since yesterday's Black Friday, we're going to talk to you about the top 10, and they're top 10 because we made them up, top 10 Christmas gifts for the automotive person in your life, kind of the car guru. We got some serious automotive gifts as well as some pretty non-serious Hot Wheel type gifts. So you want to tune in for that. Open phones and texts, of course. And then, John, when I was thinking today about what to talk about on this show, I thought, I'll just ask John. You're an auto mechanic, John. When you're at a backyard barbecue and people know that you're an auto mechanic, what is the first thing they come up to you and talk to you about?
I got this noise in my car. Or I've got this problem with my car. What do you think about this? And so generally I don't tell people I'm an automotive technician.
We fly under the radar.
Yeah.
I do that on some occasions. Some occasions it's beneficial for me not to be the car guy. So everyone's got a noise. The other one I think about is they got some weird intermittent issue. Something that happens on the third Thursday of every fifth month.
Yep.
And that problem that everybody has, that they're like, I don't really want to take it to the shop. And it's annoying enough. They say, well, you think I should just get rid of the car?
Yeah.
I've heard that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you should, let somebody look at it. Maybe it's an annoyance intermittent thing. And so that question comes up a lot. But probably the number one question that I get is, what's the best car? I want to buy a car. What's the best car?
Yep.
How many times have you heard that?
All the time. Yeah.
And it sounds like, and sometimes I think they ask us because they're like, I want to make conversation with this guy. I know he likes cars. I'll talk to him about cars. And so maybe that's why they ask the question, because they know what they want to, what they want to drive, I think. The other thing I used to
they want to hear somebody validate their choice.
That's the other thing, too. Yeah.
I want to buy a 1968 Fiat Spider. What do you think of those? Well, not so much, all right?
Well, let me tell you something. We're not going to be friends if you buy that Spider. Yeah. So, that's the other thing. And the one thing I've learned, and don't be this guy. I mean, I have people they know I'm in the car business. They ask me that question. They go, listen, whatever you tell me to buy, I'm going to buy that. And I'll say, buy a Toyota Camry. Guess what they buy? They go out and they buy a used Land Rover.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I look at that car and I'm like, I hate that car. The reason I hate that car is they're super expensive to buy, and the first owner who could afford it, the car never breaks when the owner has it, or he can afford to take it to the dealership. But it's that second and third owner on the luxury car. These luxury cars are expensive to fix. Please don't buy one. If you're looking for low cost of ownership.
Yeah. No.
And not only that, they're the kind of cars that you take to the shop for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons they have a reputation for being reliable is the amount of maintenance that they do on the darn things. It's going to be reliable. It's in the shop all the time.
All the
the
time.
Maintenance done on it.
Never breaks down. So people always ask, but they never listen to me.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll say, go buy yourself a Toyota Camry, because me personally, that's the one that I put out there a lot. and then they come back with something else, and I'm going, why do I even bother?
Yeah.
You know, at that point, I think, well, they were just making conversation with me. They didn't really give a crap what I thought.
You brought it up earlier. What kind of car do they need? What are your needs? What are your requirements? Do you really need a four-wheel drive?
Yeah, and that's the other one, four-wheel drive. And my wife has a four-wheel drive Jeep. I bought a four-wheel drive Jeep. But how many times in the shop, John, do we have a car that's got some sort of four-wheel drive problem? In other words, the transfer case has an issue or the front differential has an issue. And this person has never, and they always tell them when you call, you say, hey, your front differential is out, so your four-wheel drive won't work. Well, I never use a four-wheel drive.
That anyway. Yeah.
That's the first thing out of their mouth every time we have that conversation with that person. And so really, if you don't need a four-wheel drive, and you kind of maybe, I might think I'm going to have to use it someday, you know, that someday almost never comes around.
Yeah.
You know, but I guess, you know, if you're kind of a prepper, and I'm one of those guys that kind of wants the four-wheel drive, and my wife's got this four-wheel drive Jeep, and it is a gorgeous vehicle. It is so pretty. It's even got a little knob on the center console. You can turn it over to snow. I said, hey, honey, now that we've got a Jeep, we can go up to the snow.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm waiting for it to snow. She goes, you are not taking my car off-road. And I'm like, okay.
There you go.
You might hurt it. You might scratch it.
Yeah.
So they're super expensive to maintain. I mean, how many times have you seen that?
Oh, yeah. Well, and you wind up with the other situation with the real all-wheel drive cars.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes time to put tires on them, that's 4 tires as a set, all matched. And if you don't, you can actually destroy transfer cases and other things like that. So that's a big expense all at one time that people don't realize is there when it comes time.
I think we're going to have to say that again because I grew up, you just bought 2 tires at a time. And when I grew up, you put the new tires in the front. Now, the rules have changed. We put the new tires on the back because if one blows out, you're going to have the biggest problem steering the vehicle. So you bought 2 tires at a time. Now you got an all-wheel drive vehicle. You go in there and plan on buying 2 tires at a time because maybe you blew one out.
Right.
You know, so you're like, oh, I'll just get a pair, you know, because you don't buy 1 shoe, you buy 2 shoes.
Yeah.
So you think you're going to do that. Well, you can't do that in an all-wheel drive car. And when people do that, it gets really expensive because it ruins the transfer case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's the other thing is, and so you do have this nice new car. Maybe the tires are half worn out, and you do blow out 1 tire. You're not just buying 1 tire. You're going to go buy 4 tires.
4 tires, yeah.
So I don't know that all-wheel drive, I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's like, oh, yeah, all-wheel drive. On my Honda Element, I used to, see, whenever it rains, I'm one of those people that I look around. If nobody's around, I'm going to try and get sideways around every corner.
Sure.
That's just the way I do it. And I got my Honda Element was all-wheel drive, and I never took it off-road. It just never happened.
Yeah.
And so, but it was fun because I could really go around those corners fast in the rain, and it wouldn't break loose. I used to wish it would, but it was a good driving car.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to drive like a maniac, there's absolutely no point in getting yourself an all-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive car for the one time in the next, because you're going to own a vehicle for 5-6 years. And so you're going to have that possibility of that expense for 6 years. It's kind of like my swimming pool in my backyard. I write some guy a check every month for $100 to take care of that swimming pool. And I asked my son the other day, I said, hey, would you be offended if I got rid of the swimming pool? He said no. He's only used it once this year.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I spend $1,200 every year to have that swimming pool. So anyhow, hey, one of the things that comes up as we get into the cold part of the year is batteries. And they rate batteries in cold cranking amps. Here in Arizona, we know the summer is hard on batteries. It is hard on batteries. But guess what else is hard on batteries? The wintertime. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the punishment that the battery took over the summer with the massive heat, and it was 250 degrees underneath your hood, and that battery was cooking, well, come wintertime, that's when it's going to show up when you go to start your car in the morning, and it's cold out. That's why they rate them in cold cranking amps. So what we do at Tri-City Transmission is we have interstate batteries on the shelf, and it's that time of year that we're looking at everybody's battery because we know we're coming to cold. And the other thing, I mean, a lot of people traveled this week. You know, it was a good week to get your, have a good battery in the car. So interstate batteries, you can learn more about them at interstatebattery.com, or we also have a link on bumpertobumperradio.com. But it's what Matt and I have used in our shops for years. And, John, how many shops have you worked on that had interstate batteries?
Virtually every one of them. Yeah.
And when it comes to batteries, you want a battery with a good warranty that you can get covered coast to coast. So anyhow, when we come back, we got Adrian, we got Romero, we've got Mark, we got Brennard, and we've got Leonard. You're listening to Bumper to Bumper Radio. We'll be right back.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Every child in Arizona deserves to be safe and loved. Yet 19,000 children do not have that guarantee. Together we can change their lives and futures.
But it takes a team. We need your help. We need foster families, forever families, and volunteers. Please join us.
Arizona's children are our most precious resource. Let's work together to protect and treasure them. Find out how at keepazkidsafe.org.
The forecast, plenty of sunshine through today with seasonal temperatures.
Life is busy. We drive from place to place with so much to do. But one thing you should never do, leave a child in a car. In minutes, the inside of a car can heat up more than 20 degrees, and that's deadly. The Arizona Department of Child Safety reminds you to double-check your car for kids. Double-check. Never leave your kids in a car.
A message from the Arizona Department of Child Safety.
Double-check.
Who can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Matt Allen is out today. He decided he was going to go shopping or something for Black Friday, carryover Black Friday. So anyhow, I thought we'd bring a real technician in the house. So we've got John Riggle. We've got John Riggle. He's our lead technician at Tri-City Transmission. He's in here today to help me help you with your car. And we got some phone calls. Leonard, Brendan, Mark, Romero, and we're going to go with Adrian. He has a 2011 Chevy Traverse. How can we help you, Adrian? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
I know it's getting a little cold, but I have an AC question. I go to turn on my AC, and there's a little frost snowflake. As you press the button, it'll flash 2 or 3 times and then turn off. So I'm not able to engage the AC. The user manual says that it's that if it drops below 40 degrees, the AC won't kick on because it's not efficient. But we haven't had 40-degree weather, so I can't figure out why it's not turning on.
John, any ideas?
Yeah, that may actually be an indication that there's that the system has detected a problem with it. In the case that it's got a low refrigerant charge, they will do that. They'll flash that light, and it'll let you know that there's a problem with it, and it is not turning the compressor on for a reason. So the first step with one of those is to go ahead and get it somewhere where they can actually scan it and check for any DTCs in the thing, see if there's any trouble codes in it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good point. So every system, like for a transmission, when the overdrive light flashes, it's telling you there's a problem. Mm-hmm. For the engine, the check engine light comes on. If it flashes, it's a big problem. Yeah. You got to take care of it right away. Yeah. And then for the AC, you might see some flashing AC.
Yeah, the AC lights are a little snowflake will flash on a lot of the cars, and that just indicates that the system has detected a problem somewhere.
And in a basic AC service, I mean, that's what people think of when they got an AC problem. They go into the shop for an AC service thinking, that's what they need. And it could be an electrical problem just as much as it could be a refrigerant problem, just as much as it could be. There's all kinds of things that it could be, but you're going to want to get in to get that checked out. Yeah. So if you got a shop, you can find, or if you got a shop, go see them. If you don't, go to bumpertobumperradio.com for a list of great shops near you. Anyhow, let's go with Romero, 2004 Chevy Impala. How can we help you, Romero? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hello. I have a 2004 Chevy Impala. Since I have like over 200 miles on it, 1,000 miles on it, I'm sorry. I've been getting a lot of my thermostat keeps overheating. And I replaced it like, I want to say about 3 times a day. So I want to find out why it keeps overheating on me.
What did you replace?
The thermostat.
The thermostat. Okay. Yeah. How long have you had this vehicle?
I had this vehicle for about close to almost about 3 years now.
About 3 years now, and every time it overheats, you just replace the thermostat.
Yes. It'll just reheat, and I'll replace it, and it'll just run good. It'll run pretty good I replace it like 2-3 times a day, and then it's just like it's just getting to the point where I can't figure out what's wrong with it.
Let me ask you a quick question. When it overheats, does it overheat while you're actually driving it down the road, or does it do it more in stop-and-go traffic when the car is stopped sitting still?
No, actually, when I'm going down the road, that's when I have to pull over and let it cool down. And I just recently it was down for a while because I had I can't remember what happened to it, but they said it had parked it for a couple of months, and then we checked the fluids and everything, and got it up and going again. It wasn't moving at all until I barely put a brand new thermostat in there again. A couple weeks.
Okay.
And next you know it just overheated again.
Looks like John's got some ideas going on, and that sounded like a key question. Does it happen going down the road, or does it happen in stop-and-go traffic?
Exactly, yeah. That lets me rule out some things and kind of consider the possibilities. Generally, if we have cars that overheat when they're sitting still, I start thinking about cooling fans and airflow and things like that. But when I've got cars that overheat going down the road under a load, typically I start to think about cooling system efficiency, and that's when we start to see radiators that are getting restricted. We may have issues. Some of those cars have small plastic air dams underneath the front of the car.
Oh, yeah.
And when the air dams are missing, the air doesn't get routed properly up through the radiator, and we kind of have overheating issues that occur only when the car is going down the road. So one of the observations you want to make, and obviously we want to make sure that we're not having to add coolant to the car, that it doesn't have any leaks or anything. Let the car sit and idle, see if it overheats. Let it sit for 30, 35, 40 minutes and see if it overheats. And then jump in it and go drive it and see if, as you start to drive it, if that's when it overheats. Then I start looking at things like restricted radiators and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, those little air dams, those are actually a key because everyone pulls over the curb at the grocery store, and it goes, and it kind of makes that noise, and it only happens so many times before that piece wants to fall off, and usually it starts dragging on the ground, so you just tear it off anyway. Yeah. And that little piece of plastic that's up there, I don't know how many times I've seen a car that overheated on the freeway because that piece of plastic was missing. Yeah. You put that piece of plastic back in, and whoa, hey, the cooling system works again.
That's kind of the thing about those little pieces of plastic like that. You think it's not important, but the manufacturer put that there, and the manufacturer had to put that there on 1 million cars, and even if it cost them $1 a piece, they spent $1 million to put those there. Yeah. So that piece is there for a reason.
So, yeah, that's one of those pieces you don't want to just tear off in your driveway and ignore. So we're going to go with Mark. Thanks for the call, Romero. But Mark, on a 2005 Chevrolet Corvette, how can we help you, Mark? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, guys. I appreciate you taking my call. I have a 05 Corvette convertible, relatively low miles, maybe about 40,000. But when I'm starting the thing up, I'm having difficulties getting into gear, just to shift into reverse or drive or whatever. I mean, once it gets warmed up, and it seems to be fine, but it's just that initial startup that I'm having issues with.
I guess I got one question. Is it difficult getting the shifter to move, or is it difficult you put it in gear and nothing happens?
It's the shifter. And that's why I thought it might not be transmission. It's more of that gear shift that appears to be stuck.
Yeah, and what that is, it's kind of a common problem. Anything made after the year 2000 was federally mandated to have what they call a park shift interlock. So what that means is if your foot isn't firmly planted on the brake, you can't take it out of park. It is probably one of the most common things to malfunction that we see at a transmission shop. Yeah. I mean, how many times a car comes in, and sometimes they can just be intermittent, and we may have a brake switch that's starting to go bad. Mm-hmm. The other thing we may have is there's actually a solenoid in the shifter that has to actuate to let that thing move. Yeah. And so we could have a solenoid starting to go bad. And I mean, those are the most common things, solenoid in the shifter. Sometimes you can service the shifter, but anymore it's some big expensive shifter that you got to buy the whole thing. Yeah. And that's kind of a pain in the butt because no one likes to. It's a safety feature.
Well,
really.
and those solenoids are located in the center console on a lot of the cars, and if they get soda spilt down in them and stuff, that's when we see them they'll act up more so when it's cold outside. So when the weather changes like it has, we'll see an increase in the number of failures with those.
And I want to say on GMs, and probably get away with it on your Corvette, because this is kind of a tow truck driver trick on the side of the road. But if you turn that ignition key on, you can kind of trick the system. And kind of right before it bumps the starter, if you just turn it real slow, there's a spot in there where you can slide the shifter into neutral and then start the car. That's a lot of times how, you know, on some of those older vehicles, tow truck drivers would get a car that was stuck in a parking lot because they couldn't get it out of park. And then there's also usually a bypass to it, too.
Yeah. Yeah, regardless, he's going to want to get that one in and get it fixed. If you've got a Corvette with 40,000 miles on it, the shifter should work the way it should work. You shouldn't have to fight it to get it out of park.
And that's kind of a Sunday car too, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, at 40,000 miles, he's not driving it every day. That's not a to and from work car, but that's more of a play car, and that's the kind of car you want to jump in and you want to make sure it works and all that stuff. But you mentioned the soda thing. How many problems on cars are related to people spilling soda on the console?
Oh, plenty.
One of the ones that we get a lot is the Jeep Grand Cherokees. Some of them have a Mercedes-built transmission because it's a Daimler vehicle. Well, Mercedes always put the computer to the transmission on the shifter.
Yeah.
And so when you spill your soda, you're spilling your soda on the computer, and it's like a $900, maybe $1,100 repair, and it's something you don't want to buy. So that soda causes more problems than you would think.
Yeah.
We can almost always look. That's the telltale sign that there's something wrong.
Yep.
So I mean, you dried it up pretty quick. At least you try to dry it pretty quick, but it doesn't mean it fixed the issue. So I mean, that's one of the common ones we see. Transmission shop, John. How many things are just simple electrical problems? But people they call up and they'll say, "Hey, how much for a transmission on my car? Well, what's wrong with it? Well, it won't come out of park."
No. We do a lot of and a lot of times when they come out of park, it's something as simple as a brake light switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Right.
You know, that's what the input is. That's what controls it. You can't take it out of park until you put your foot on the brake, and obviously brake light switch can cause that issue. So there's a lot of things that get blamed on the transmission that aren't necessarily the transmission.
Right. Everyone calls up thinking the worst. So anyhow, when we come back, we're taking more phone calls. It's 602-277-5827. 602-277-KTAR. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
Hi, I'm Roger Bland with the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association, ATRA. As a transmission industry advocate, I travel throughout North America, studying transmission shops, looking for the best of the best that our industry has to offer. Professionally, ethically run shops that are proud to display the ACRA logo. I was recently in Arizona because I had heard from more than one source that I had to check out Tri-City Transmission right here in Tempe. Folks, I've been in the transmission industry for over 25 years, and I'm here to tell you that Tri-City is the type of transmission shop we're proud to call an ATRA member. Not only does Tri-City Transmission meet the stringent code of ethics set forth for every member of the association, they also have an extraordinary approach to solving their customers' problems. You see, they don't just focus on what it is they produce, transmissions. Their true concern is about fixing your problem. And take it from me, that's a big difference.
To learn more about Tri-City Transmission, find them at tricitytransmission.com. That's tricitytransmission.com.
Ouch! Being out of tune is no fun, and maybe even a little painful. Hi, this is Lee Weatherby, owner of Accurate Automotive in Mesa. At Accurate, we are a family-owned and operated one-stop automotive repair shop that specializes in building long-term relationships that are in tune with your needs, not ours. We've been recognized nationally as one of the top shops in the country, but for over 20 years, our priority has stayed focused on providing quality automotive service and repair at a fair price. I invite you to come in and see the difference an in-tune relationship can make for you and your car. With our free courtesy inspection, a $49 value, we feel it is well worth our investment in you because we believe good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out online at AccurateAutomotiveAZ.com today.
Arizona's news station.
KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
KTAR News Time, 11:30. Good morning. I'm Mike Sackley. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake reacting to the death of former Cuban leader Fidel Castro. In a tweet, Flake says Fidel Castro's death follows more than a half-century of brutal repression and misery. The Cuban people deserve better in the years ahead. Well, the news of Castro's death has sparked celebrations in Miami's Little Havana neighborhood, the heart of the Cuban exile community.
What the celebration is about today is possibly the beginning of freedom for Cuba, and that freedom is such a central theme. It's a very diverse community, but very unified in coming from a place where they were not free to vote for an elected leader. Many of the people who were in the older generation who had come here in the 60s had family members murdered, politically persecuted, had families who were separated for decades.
That's ABC's Glenna Milberg in Miami. Now let's get a check on traffic. A check on traffic now from the RMEGold.com Traffic Center. Here's Mike Daniels.
Thanks, Mike. Still working that crash on Indian School Road at 39th Avenue. That's west of the 60, and a wreck at 16th Street and Southern. This report brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Annuities aren't right for everyone. How do you know if they're right for you? Well, text the word retired to 411-923 to learn more. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
Thank you, Mike. Cloudy skies today with a high of 76. It'll be cloudy tonight, the low 54. We could see some showers tomorrow afternoon, the high 63. Right now in Goodyear, 68. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. Matt and Dave, KTAR's Car Guys on Bumper to Bumper, are back with you next. I'm Mike Sackley on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. She'd been drinking too much eggnog.
Oh, that eggnog always gets me.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't like eggnog. But Grandma does like eggnog, so stick around for this segment. We're going to give you the top 10 things to buy for the automotive personnel in your life, person, guy, gal, whatever it may be. We've got some lighter automotive gifts as well as some, hey man, you need to rebuild your engine in your driveway kind of gifts. So anyhow, well, glad you can join us. Welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with, I would say Matt Allen, but he decided to be a no-show on me today. I mean, he told me he was taking the weekend off.
I could pretend to be Matt today. That'd be fun too.
So we've got John Riggle, who's the lead technician at Tri-City Transmission, and not only has he learned the transmission business, but he's been in the general repair business for 38 years. Yep. The length of time I've been alive. So every year I'm gonna tell John, hey, it's your anniversary of working on cars.
Yeah.
So anyway. Well, we've got open lines at 602-277-5827. We are going to go with Tom on a 2011 Kia Soul. How can we help you, Tom? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning.
The car was running fine the other morning. Went to the store, and then when I took off again, sudden loss of power, rough idle, and I noticed my mileage has dropped by about 20-25%.
Any check engine lights come on that thing?
Yeah, it started flashing, and then it came on solid.
Okay. Well, John, it sounds like we got a pretty solid misfire going on there.
Yes, it sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, odds are it's got an ignition misfire. Spark plugs, coils, that kind of thing is the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, and I would say that's more and more common when we get these misfires. Something that happened just like that is the coils. I mean, in the old days, you had one coil and you had a distributor, and
and one of the reasons why is we've gone to these little, they call them pencil coils. They're just real small and fit right over the top of each one of the spark plugs. Has its own individual coil, and they have such a high voltage output out of the thing. Some of them are 100,000 volts. but they actually run hot, and we run a lot of current through them, and they don't last forever. And it's a fairly common failure on the later model cars.
Yeah, and you're right there. And if they're in the way we diagnose that, if in the shop, being that it's set a code and you get that check engine light flashing, more than likely the computer knows exactly which cylinder is misfiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that'll be, could be fairly easy. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be fairly easy. But if we weren't sure, let's just say it was a PO300, which is a random misfire, and the computer doesn't know, we're gonna maybe move some coils around to see if we can make it set and show up on a cylinder, or not, knock them out, or shut one off to see if the engine changes the way it's working.
Yep.
So you're there, you're doing a coil. It's one of the things we run into on Ford trucks, John. We tell the guy, hey, we can replace these coils a la carte, like one at a time, and every time you want to bring the car back to me and see me, we'll be more than happy to put another coil on it, or we can replace them as a set. And if one's taking a dump, maybe it's time to get them all replaced. And the other thing that happens is as the spark plugs wear, the resistance, takes the coil out too. So you should be getting a set of spark plugs also. So appreciate the call, Tom, 602-277-5827. We're going to go with Leonard on a Toyota Tundra. How can we help you, Leonard? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Fantastic.
Hey, I've got an 03 Toyota Tundra, and for the life of it, I've always got the P420 and 422 code while I clear them. Well, the problem I run into, I got emissions due this month, and I replaced my battery a month ago, and I've driven 1,500 miles, and it's still not ready for emissions. I've tried all the different things that you Google, and the catalyst, and the one other one, I can't think of the name of it, but I can't get them to even come close to look like setting to where I've been through emissions 4 times now, and they've denied me because it's not ready on those 2 systems.
Yep. Previously you had a PO420 low catalyst efficiency code in the car?
Yeah, I get that like probably once a month, and then the 422, I believe, is like a small leak, which I think is my gas cap.
Okay.
But in the past, I've just been able to just clear it because I got a scan gauge.
Right.
So I clear it and keep driving. This time with the battery disconnected, I guess I totally...
Yeah, not going to work this time, unfortunately. What's happening is, and what we're talking about here is before a car can get emission tested here in the state of Arizona, an OBD2 car after 96, all of the onboard tests have to have been run. And we have these flags that we call monitors or readiness status that tells us when all the tests have been run. And in a case where we've got this catalyst code and he's got this evap code, it may take an incredible long time after a battery disconnect to get those monitors to go complete again, because it had already detected that there was a failing catalyst there. So it's going to run that test over and over and over and try to make sure that that catalyst is actually bad. But it could take months to get those to run. Basically, the car needs a catalytic converter.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fix it, and it's one of the more expensive repairs you're gonna do to a car, and there's really a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. There's plenty of aftermarket inexpensive catalytic converters, and people kind of lean that way because you can spend $1,500 on a catalytic converter.
Oh, you can spend more than that
from the factory.
$2,000
easily, and then it's pretty attractive when you're like, oh, I get this aftermarket one for $800 or whatever the price difference is. And so people will do that only to turn around, and it's a Toyota, you're probably going to have it for a lot of years, only to turn around and have the same problem 2 years later.
Yeah.
So catalytic converters are expensive because of the amount of precious metal that's in there. Mm-hmm. And so if someone can build it for half the price, they just leave out half of the precious metal, and it's an efficiency thing, so it's probably not going to work that well for that long.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where you're going to have to fix it. And the other one that sometimes can be hard to reset, just depending on the time of the year, is he mentioned the evap code thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that fuel system has to be airtight. And so the computer knows that it's not airtight, and it set that code. But in order to rerun that, you got to have the right amount of gas in the tank.
Yeah.
You got to have the right temperature out. And that's why you get these things in the winter. You can't get the monitor
Well,
reset.
and you have certain issues with certain monitors will block other monitors from running. When you have an evap code, quite often they won't run a catalyst monitor because you have an evap code. We do it with misfire. If we have misfires, you can't test the catalyst. So there can be reasons why these things stack up and take a long time to set codes. But it sounds like he's got two issues there that need to be addressed, a small evap leak and probably a catalytic converter.
Well, thanks for the call, Leonard. 602-277-5827. If you don't have a good shop that you're used to working with and you need one, go to bumpertobumperradio.com. There's a list of shops all over the valley. These are shops that Matt and I are happy to endorse, people that have been doing it right, people that you can start a relationship with. They're not fly-by-night shops, and it's generally going to be the same person you talk to at the counter every time you go in there. We're family-run businesses. So anyhow, we're going to go with Mike. He's got a 2001 Mitsubishi Montero. Go ahead, Mike. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, good morning, Dave and John. Thanks
Good
for
morning.
taking my call. Started back at the end of August. It's throwing a P0430, which is the EGR control circuit, and a P0401 flow inefficiency. And I cleaned the EGR valve. It wasn't that dirty, and it just keeps coming back. And it's more prevalent when my wife gets gas. It'll come on, then go off, and then come back on. It's intermittent. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Odds are the passages, the EGR passages inside the intake manifold are restricted. That's you've taken the valve off and cleaned the passages right at the valve, but those passages go all the way down through the intake manifold, and it's not unusual if the car's got any kind of miles on a 2001 Montero. It's probably got a few thousand miles on the thing, right. And those passages are probably plugged up inside the intake manifold, which can be a bit of a chore to get them cleaned back out. Quite often we have to physically remove the intake manifold and clean it.
And what EGR stands for, exhaust gas recirculation. So I was thinking about this the other day, and in my mind it was weird, but I'm like, you're kind of like eating your own crap.
What? You know? That's one way of putting it, I suppose.
So, I mean, the engine is re-ingesting some of the exhaust back into it, and that's part of the emissions controls. And you see, and that's the thing about code reading and code diagnostic is that, hey, yeah, we know there's probably a problem with the EGR valve, but it's the passage that feeds the EGR valve that's actually the problem.
Yeah.
So that's where code, people say, well, don't you just plug into it with your scanner and it tells you what's wrong? Nah, it doesn't always exactly work that way.
Not that simple, unfortunately.
So anyhow, we're going to go with Brendan on a 2002 GMC Yukon. How can we help you, Brendan? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I just bought some tires a little while ago, and I was noticing on the back two tires, it says outside on the outside. I was kind of looking at them to check the date they were made, and I noticed on the front tires, the date they were made was on the inside. And when I was looking at that, I saw a little stamp that said outside. And so I was wondering if, I don't think they're directional tires, but I was wondering if that will actually make a difference.
Yeah, what's going on there is they're asymmetrical tires. That means they're different from the inside edge to the outside edge. So typically you're going to have a more aggressive tread on the inside edge, and then at the outside edge you're going to have less siping or grooves in the tire because we want to get away from tread squirm, and that's something that happens when you corner a car hard. So asymmetrical tires, and you were talking about back tires or front tires. If they're not the same brand of tires, one may be asymmetrical and one is non-directional. They can be mounted either way, and that's as far as back in the white wall days, you could mount them in or you could mount them out.
Yeah.
But with the way cars are changing, it doesn't necessarily work that way anymore. So anyhow, thanks for the call. We do have Russ and Leonard and Bob and Larry, but we've got to get to the top 10 Christmas gifts. Yesterday was Black Friday, and today is, I guess, Black Saturday, if you want to call it that. But what are the gifts that you're going to get for the auto mechanic in your life? Everyone knows a car guy or someone who's kind of a car buff. So if they're that kind of person that's going to go out and work on their car in the yard or in the driveway, John, these are some. I think this one is probably number one, but all these could be number one. A set of gear wrenches. How much do you love gear wrenches?
Oh, gear wrenches are awesome. Oh, man.
Oh, they're fantastic. And what it is, it's an open-end wrench on one end, and on the other end, it's a gear wrench. So you get to turn the wrench, or you get to turn the nut one way, and then you get to click it back. It's kind of like a ratchet, but in a wrench.
It's a ratcheting wrench.
And there literally is the brand name gear wrenches, and they're good. I've had a set of gear wrenches, and they're hard to break. They're pretty dang good.
Yeah.
So, you're probably going to be spending somewhere between $40 and $60 if I had to guess on a good set of gear wrenches.
Yeah.
Anymore, everything's metric. I think that started to happen like somewhere in 1985, and if it's not, there's crossover. So if you're going to buy a set, buy a metric set for that car person in your life. Now, for the more aggressive car person in life, the one who wants to change the engine out in the driveway and doesn't have one of these, you can buy him a floor jack.
Oh, floor jack is a must-have at home, man. It just makes the world so much nicer.
Yeah, if he's that guy in the neighborhood that everybody comes over to and says, hey, can you help me out with my car? He needs a floor jack.
Yeah.
If he doesn't he may already have one, but maybe it's old. Maybe it's time for a new floor jack.
Yeah.
You can spend $110 on a floor jack that's maybe not going to work for very long.
Yeah.
But you can also, a really good quality floor jack, you can spend $200-300 probably without a blink of an eye.
Oh, yeah, you can get in the nice aluminum ones that are lightweight and easy to move around. And
Yeah, nice floor jack would be good. And jack stands go hand in hand with that. If he owns a four-wheel drive, get the big set of floor jacks.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive kind of guy, he just needs little floor jacks. So that's a good one. Now this next one I think anybody can benefit from. That's mechanics gloves. Everybody can have a set of those in the trunk of their car. They're gloves designed to work on things like you're going to pull lug nuts off a car because you're changing the tire on the side of the road. Lug nuts are hot.
Yeah.
Mechanic gloves put up with the heat. So mechanics gloves, jumper box. That's a box to jump your car if the battery's dead. That's, John, how many of those we got at the shop? That's a common tool.
Oh, yeah, and the new ones are so cool with the little lithium-ion batteries in them.
So
it used to be that it was like hauling around a whole, lead-acid battery with you, but the new ones are little. You can charge your phone with them. They're great. A lot of them have flashlights built into them and stuff. They're cool.
And that's one you can get at when it's sponsored the show, the Interstate All Battery Stores. They carry. That's a great place for Christmas gifts for people that go see them. They got those. That's where I bought mine at.
Yeah.
Jumper box, jumper cables. This is a must-have for everybody, and then we'll have to come back to the next one. It's a Streamlight flashlight. It's a flashlight that you're probably going to spend $70 on.
Yeah.
But, it's a flashlight
My favorite
to die
flashlight.
For. Oh, man. How many of those?
Indestructible, and they're so bright.
Oh, so bright. And they're not even, they're just awesome flashlights. So anyhow, when we come back, we're going to get to the rest of the top 10 list. And then we've got Russ, Larry, and Bob. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
Here's what Carrie from Tempe had to say about her experience with Good Works Auto Repair.
As soon as you realize, I need to get some work done on my car, I'm sure the thought occurs to you that you're about to get taken for a ride. I used to share the same sentiment and wondered if the shop was going to make something up and have me spending hundreds of dollars instead of $30 I was planning on for a simple oil change. This is one of the reasons I will only go to Good Works Auto Repair. Because I trust them. Putting trust in an auto shop didn't come easily. It's been built over several visits with them doing exactly what was needed, not coercing me into unnecessary work. Ask them for an oil change and a safety inspection, they do just that. No baloney, list of filters, belts, and whatchamacallits that need replacing on my new car. Thank you, Good Works Auto Repair, for being there for me when I need you.
Appreciate the kind words. It's always a pleasure. Glenn Hayward here. Come experience what award-winning auto service should be. Good Works Auto Repair in Tempe, or visit us at goodworksautorepair.com.
In life, there are certain relationships outside of family and friends that are important. For instance, if your car breaks down, you want to have a relationship with an auto repair shop that you trust to repair your car. The same goes for your doctor, your accountant, and your attorney. Why? Because the services they provide involve health and financial decisions, and it's important to hire a trusted professional. This same principle applies to real estate. Hi, I'm Lisa Henry with Westline Sotheby's International Realty. For most of us, our home is the largest financial commitment and asset we will own in our lifetime. So when you decide to sell, it's important to hire a professional, knowledgeable real estate agent that you can trust to represent your interests and provide the best customer service available. If you would like a consultation to help determine the value and discuss a comprehensive marketing plan to sell your home, please visit my website at lisareneehenry.com. That's Lisa Renee, R-E-N-E-E, Henry.com. Come experience the difference a great real estate agent can make.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and bumper-to-bumper radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Who can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Matt Allen from Virginia Auto Service is taking the weekend off, so we've got John Riggle from Tri-City Transmission in here to help you with your car. And we're going through the top 10 list of Christmas gifts for the car person in your life. And Streamlight. That's a big one. Everyone, you can really use a nice flashlight. I mean, I know there's a flashlight in your iPhone, but that's not a Streamlight.
No, that's not a flashlight.
That's not a flashlight, right? That's child's play. You need a Streamlight. And even if they're not like super serious, I mean, that's something you put in your pocket and you're like, wow, this is a nice light. I got a little mini Streamlight, and then I got a little bigger Streamlight.
Yeah.
You got to have a Streamlight for every occasion, you know. There's a church Streamlight, there's a backyard barbecue Streamlight, and there's the one for the driveway. So Streamlight is high on the list. The other thing I thought would be cool is the iPhone holder for the dashboard. You know, you see people kind of looking at their maps, holding their phone in their hand. Their hand is obviously not at 10 and 2 on the wheel because they're looking at their iPhone. They're looking down.
Exactly.
So buy maybe a good dash mount iPhone holder or Droid holder. I'm an iPhone guy. You're a Droid guy, aren't you?
No, I'm an iPhone guy.
You're an iPhone guy. That's right.
iPhone, yeah.
That's right. So this one's from Kerry. He said, what if they're just, they want a good sunshade for the car? Maybe a Star Wars sunshade would be good. I think.
You don't have to fight the force of the sun.
Yeah, you don't have to fight the force of the sun. So Star Wars sunshade. That's So if you got a Star Wars fan in there who happens to like cars, perfect gift for that. Hot Wheels make a heck of a nice, stocking stuffer.
Oh yeah.
Everyone loves Hot Wheels.
Sure.
Did you collect those when you were a kid?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Hundreds of them.
I had the big Hot Wheel truck. We stacked all your Hot Wheels, and I could just sit around and look at my Hot Wheels. And then, this is probably the number one. I mean, these all could be number one. But a car wash kit. I mean, if the guy's a car buff, he probably doesn't trust the car wash to wash his car.
Yeah.
Which in some cases, it's one of those paint jobs. You just don't trust anybody. So a good car wash kit, if he is that guy, he's going to be particular about it. So it's going to need a nice bucket. It's going to need a nice wash mitt. It's going to need a nice sponge, the kind with the netting around it. That's how you get the bugs off the windshield and the headlights. And then a tire scrub brush and wash soap. You don't wash the car with palm olive.
Yeah.
That was a bad idea. It took the wax right off of it. So good car wash soap. You can get it nice and sudsy, and we don't put any swirls in the paint. So you got work to do. Go get some automotive Christmas gifts for the car person in your life, but we got to get back to the phone, so we're going to go with Bob. We're going to go with Bob. He's got a 2004 Lincoln. How can we help you, Bob? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Oh, hey, good morning, or almost good afternoon, gentlemen. I've got my mother who owns a 2004 Lincoln LS, and she just loves the car, and it really does well. But I'm just kind of curious, is there any, it has 177,000 miles on it. Is there anything I should be worried about as her son that she's taken off to go to Yuma? Or are they known for their longevity?
Here's kind of my belief. If a car is being used for, driving back and forth between coasts, New York, East Coast, West Coast, or even across the desert into Yuma, 177,000 mile car is starting to get up there. I don't know, John. I don't know what your take is. I mean, the Lincoln LS, we see those in the shop on occasion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're any worse or any better than any of the others. If it's well maintained, I'm not saying you got to get her a different car, but up there in that age, I think the frequency of a car going to shop should increase. You know, when a car's new, you get an oil change every 5,000 miles. It doesn't need to see the mechanic very often. But you want somebody, it's your mother, you want somebody who's got a good set of eyes on the car so they can spot problems ahead of time. Are the hoses in good shape? Are the belts in good shape? Because at that mileage, you're going to start to have more problems. Things are going to start to break that you wouldn't normally see break on the car. So that's a big deal. Does she have a good technician that she would call family? And some people go get an oil change at a different shop.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
It's like going to a different pediatrician every week. So that's going to be my main thing there. So I would for sure do that. Make sure she's got a good mechanic putting his eyes on it. Let's go with Russ on a 1972 Chevy pickup. How can we help you, Russ? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, I'm having trouble with the kick-down passing gear in that transmission. And I look down in there, and there's like a slide relay, and there's no wires hooked to it, so it must be electrical. I was just wondering if Tri-City Transmission could fix that, or someone out in my area, out around 51 and Thunderbird Road's where I'm at. There's no wires hooked up to anything down there.
Right. John, I'm going to rely on you. I know that I've been in the transmission business more years than you have, but kickdown, those had a kickdown switch on them, right?
Yep, they sure did.
On the gas pedal.
Yeah, sure did.
And then a solenoid, it's a Turbo 400 or Turbo 350 that's in that thing.
Yeah.
So it's something we can fix. It's not a problem. It's just one of those things.
Yeah,
but
it's one of those things that somewhere along the line somebody cut wires or didn't know what they were doing, and I see a lot of them that are disabled for one reason or another. But yeah, we can go through and rebuild the wiring that it takes and harness and things to make that work.
Yeah, so not a problem. But it is, in 1972, how many mechanics have worked on that car since 1972, John? Would you just venture to guess?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, yeah.
And all along the way, someone got maybe something 90% of the way there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cumulative auto repair that's happened on that car where a little this didn't get hooked up, a little that didn't get hooked up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, things on a car like that anymore, it's not just strictly auto repair. It winds up being a restoration job because, like he says, there's wires missing and stuff. So you're going to wind up doing things that aren't exactly normal most of the time on those. But
thanks for the call, Russ. We're going to sneak in Larry on a 1993 Toyota Camry. How can we help you, Larry? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Oh, I had a whole lot of trouble trying to get my dipstick to go in on the transmission for about a year and a half. And finally I got some quarter-inch copper tubing about 6 inches and managed to slide it up and kind of strengthen the top of the dipstick. So I was finally able to get it down into the transmission. And so I don't know if that copper might react with something, cause some trouble with the fluid, and also the transmission is leaking really bad now. I was getting ready to change out the axles, and I don't know if the axles going bad might have caused the leak, or if gaskets can blow out on the back of that, or what.
Well, a couple things. I'm not worried about the copper in the transmission. No. All the planetary washers are copper, so no chemical problem there. Now, on the axle seals, I'd be worried about the bearings right there. And we're going to cut you short here because we got to get going. But we'll plan on seeing you next week and hope to talk to you again, Larry.